Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of the Cleveland Sports Show. I am your host, Darius Sethna. Thank you so much for joining me this week. We have a bit of a shorter episode today as the NBA Playoffs are now in their conference finals. We only have two series to discuss, but we do have a lot to discuss with the Indians, Browns, and of course Premier League soccer and the MLS, a topic of discussion as well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of the Cleveland Sports Show. Here's our intro.
It's over! Cleveland is the city of champions once again! The Cavaliers are NBA champions! At the wall, looking up, it's gone! Francisco Lindor with a 3-run homer in the fourth, and it's 6-0 Cleveland. Baker wants to throw it. Mayfield goes deep for the end zone. Odell Beckham, he's got it! It's a Cleveland touchdown!
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Darius Sethna of NordoniaHills.News, and the Cleveland Sports Show starts right now. Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of the Cleveland Sports Show. I am your host, Darius Sethna. So, lots to discuss today, a bit of a shorter episode for you this week, but first, let's get to our sports fact of the day. Today is Friday, September 25th, 2020, and on this day, back in 2011, only 9 years ago, in Minneapolis, the Detroit Lions overcome a 20-0 halftime deficit to defeat the Minnesota Vikings 26-23 in overtime at Mall of America Field in Minneapolis. Detroit pulls ahead 23-20 in the fourth quarter, only to have Minnesota kicker Ryan Logwell tie the game 23-23 on a 49-yard field goal with 1:19 left in regulation. The game winner is a 32-yard field goal by Jason Hansen with 13 minutes and a second into overtime. The following week, the Lions will pull off another remarkable rally on the road to beat the Dallas Cowboys 34-30 at Cowboys Stadium in Arlington, Texas, after trailing 27-3 in the third quarter. The 24-point deficit is the largest ever overcome in NFL history by a winning team on the road. Man, Detroit Lions really were coming back. What a streak for them in 2011. Now, when you mention really any Detroit sports, the Pistons, the Lions, you're not going to have a lot of people talking about them. They're not doing very well right now. The Lions have not had a strong start to their NFL season, and the Pistons, well, they didn't even make the playoffs in Orlando, so they're kind of in a rough spot as well. But hey, it's always great to learn new NFL facts, especially back 9 years ago in Minneapolis. Detroit defeats the Minnesota Vikings 26-23 in an overtime thriller. And now let's get to our Premier League updates. Match day 2 of 38 completed in the books last weekend. Everton defeating West Brom 5-2. Leeds United defeating Fulham 4-3 final score in that one. Crystal Palace defeat Manchester United 3-1. Arsenal overtake West Ham in the standings with a 2-1 victory over them. Tottenham defeated Southampton 5-2 this past Sunday. Brighton, despite being down a man with a red card, defeated Newcastle by a final score of 3-0. Chelsea, also down a man, lost to Liverpool 2-0 this past Sunday. Leicester City defeated Burnley 4-2. Sheffield United lost to Aston Villa 1-0. And Manchester City defeats the Wolves by a final score of 3-1. Our overall standings: Leicester City with 2 wins on the season in their first 2 matches of the Premier League with 6 points and take first place in the league. Everton right behind them with 6 points as well. They are 2-0 in their first 2 games. Arsenal taking a third place, followed by Liverpool and Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace with 2 matches played as well, with 2-0 records, 6 points for them. The top 5 teams in the MLS right now in the Premier League in the standings, all have won their first 2 games. So it's definitely going to be a very interesting Premier League season with all the goals being scored And we have your top goal scorers for the Premier League so far this season. Englishman Dominic Calvert-Lewin of Everton with 4 goals on the season. Son Heung-min of Tottenham tied for first place with Calvert-Lewin. He also has 4 goals. The South Korean player for Tottenham, as I mentioned. Mohamed Salah has dropped in the standings. He is now in second place with 3 goals. And Wilfried Zaha of Crystal Palace, the English native, 3 goals for him on the season as well. Alexander Mitrovic of Fulham comes in at third place with 2 goals. We have a long list of players with 2 goals coming in at third, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Son Heung-min of Tottenham are the two top leading scorers in the Premier League this week. MLS action for you. We have not had any games these last few days. However, tomorrow, Saturday, 3:30 p.m., we have a little matinee for you from Nashville, Tennessee. Houston will be taking on Nashville tomorrow at 3:30 p.m., as I mentioned, from Nashville. And then our own Ohio team, not the Crew, but FC Cincinnati, will be in New York to take on NYCFC. That'll be a later start tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The standings for the MLS in the Eastern Conference: the Crew, Columbus Crew, that's right, still in first place, now by a little more of a comfortable margin. A 5-point difference between them and second place Orlando City. The Crew come in with 9 wins, 3 draws, and only 1 loss. Orlando City with 7 wins, 4 draws, and 2 losses for a combined 25 points. Orlando, Philadelphia, and Toronto each with 25 points to round out that top 4 in the Eastern Conference. The New England Revolution come in at fifth place, with 18 points, 4 wins, 6 draws, and 3 losses for New England. And in the Western Conference, the Seattle Sounders have 21 points and are in first place with 6 wins, 3 draws, and 3 losses. Portland come in with the same number of points, however, a little bit of a different record. 6 wins, 3 draws, and 4 losses for Portland. Sporting Kansas City, FC Dallas, and Colorado round out the top 5 for you in the MLS's Western Conference this week. The upcoming matches in the MLS include, as I mentioned, the 2 games Saturday tomorrow, as well as this upcoming Sunday. We have a whole list of games for you. DC United taking on New England, the Red Bulls, New York Red Bulls, taking on the Montreal Impact. Toronto FC will be hosting the Columbus Crew up north at BMO Stadium in Toronto. Chicago will be taking on Atlanta United. Philadelphia will be hosting Inter Miami. Minnesota United will be hosting Real Salt Lake. Orlando City FC will be in Dallas to take on FC Dallas. Colorado and Sporting Kansas City. Vancouver taking on Portland. LAFC and San Jose. And then LA Galaxy, Seattle Sounders to round out a very, very busy MLS Sunday for you in the sports world. In terms of top scorers in the MLS, Diego Rossi and Yassi Zardes are still the only 2 players in the MLS with double-digit scoring margins. Diego Rossi of LAFC with 13 goals. Yassi Zardes of the Columbus Crew, 10 goals on the season. Bradley Wright Phillips of LAFC and Raul Ruidiaz of the Seattle Sounders come in at third place, each player with 8 goals for their young season so far. For the Columbus Crew, be more specific on the Ohio teams, their schedule includes that matchup tomorrow in Toronto. I know Toronto and tomorrow sounds so similar. They'll be in Toronto tomorrow for a matchup with Toronto FC, and then they will then travel south to Dallas, Texas for a matchup with FC Dallas. Columbus will then return home to MAPFRE Stadium for a quick matchup with the Montreal Impact before heading back out on the road for 2 more games against Orlando and then in Cincinnati for another Ohio Derby. For FC Cincinnati, after their matchup with NYCFC tomorrow, they'll travel to Minnesota to take on Minnesota United. They will then head to Philadelphia with a matchup against the Union. and then will return home to Cincinnati for a matchup with Toronto FC before they host the Columbus Crew on October 14th for another Ohio Derby matchup. Let's go to the NBA and the NBA playoffs. The conference finals are finally here, so now sadly we only have 2 series to discuss. We're only going to have 1 series to discuss very soon once the NBA finals come around. Nuggets and Lakers have battled for 4 games now, and the Los Angeles Lakers have taken a commanding 3-1 lead on the Denver Nuggets. In Game 1, the Lakers defeated the Nuggets by a final score of 126-114. This was more of a schedule loss for the Denver Nuggets, as they had just come off defeating the mighty Los Angeles Clippers in 7 games. I expected the Lakers to win this game. Denver did outscore LA 35-23 in the fourth quarter of Game 1. However, LeBron and company just too much for these young Nuggets. LeBron James only finished with 15 points and 12 assists. He did have a double-double, but Anthony Davis led the way in Game 1 with 37 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists. In Game 2, Anthony Davis with a game winner. The Lakers bring out their Kobe Bryant remembrance jerseys. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. And in these black jerseys for the Los Angeles Lakers, Anthony Davis hits a game winner. Down by 103-102 left in Game 2. Nuggets lead the Lakers by 1, and Anthony Davis hits a game-winning 3 to give the Lakers a commanding 2-0 lead in this best-of-7 Western Conference Finals. Here was what Anthony Davis had to say after his game-winning shot. He actually talked about how that 3-point shot he had at the end of Game 2 was similar to a shot he had against the Brooklyn Nets on March 10th of 2020, a day before the NBA announced its suspension, and which began that hiatus period. And Anthony Davis said that he had a similar game-winning shot and similar to the one he had in Game 2, and that was against the Brooklyn Nets on March 10th. And he talked with LeBron of how he could improve and what he could have done differently. Here's what he had to say about that. I'll let him speak on the matter.
I told Bron that in LA, right before the hiatus, against the Brooklyn Nets, and same spot, slightly different play, and I missed a shot, and I was upset at myself. And he said, "Man, we gonna live or die with you shooting that shot." And I got the same opportunity tonight and was able to make it. But it's a special moment for me, special moment for the team, especially in a situation like this. Trying to go up 2-0 against a special team who's great competitors and going to fight for the entire 48 minutes. So to do something like that, in the jersey we wore tonight, it just makes it even more special.
And as I said, the Lakers sporting their black Kobe Bryant remembrance jerseys, the Mamba Forever editions. And as I said before, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Anthony Davis actually yelling Kobe on that game-winning 3 he had against the Denver Nuggets in Game 2. Game 3, however, was a different story. Jamal Murray and the Denver Nuggets crawl back into the series with a 114-106 win. Anthony Davis and LeBron combined for 57 points. However, it wasn't enough. The Lakers, down 20 at one point in the fourth quarter, actually stormed back. They outscored the Nuggets 31-21 in the fourth quarter of Game 3. However, Jamal Murray with some clutch plays down the end of this one, down the stretch, and the Nuggets and Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray and crew pick up the win, 114-106. Game 4 took place last night, and the Lakers, yep, that's right, took a commanding 3-1 lead in this series with a 114-108 victory against the Nuggets. Jamal Murray for Denver had some phenomenal plays. He finished the game with 32 points in 45 minutes to go along with 8 assists and 3 rebounds. However, it just was not enough. Although Jamal Murray was the leading scorer for the Denver Nuggets, LeBron and the Lakers handled Denver with ease. LeBron James and Anthony Davis were fantastic. Anthony Davis finishing with 34 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. LeBron only 1 rebound shy of a double-double and 2 assists shy of a triple-double. If he got one more rebound and 2 more assists, he would have had a triple-double. But LeBron finishes with 26 points, 8 assists, and 9 rebounds. Dwight Howard, Superman, that's right, 12 points in 23 minutes, but he also snatched 11 big boards for the Los Angeles Lakers. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was the third leading scorer on the Los Angeles Lakers. He had 13 points in 34 minutes, gave them some quality minutes as well. Danny Green finished with 3 points in 21 minutes, has struggled in this conference finals. However, it seems like his defensive prowess is what the Lakers really need more than ever. Kyle Kuzma finished with 10 points in 18 minutes, and Rajon Rondo has been a spark plug for this Los Angeles Lakers team. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, playoff Rondo is a thing. This guy just turns it on when it is playoff time. And his play in these Western Conference Finals has been absolutely exquisite. The passes he is creating for other players and the plays that he's able to make for his Laker teammates. When you can make plays for guys as talented as LeBron and Anthony Davis, you're going to find success. And LeBron certainly has found success in these Western Conference Finals as his Lakers have taken a commanding 3-1 lead. Here was LeBron on what the Lakers did well offensively, as well as what they could maybe improve on the offensive side of the ball.
I think at times we're doing a great job, and at certain times that we could do a better job with our spacing, especially on our post-ups. They're doing a little doubling on the post at times, so we got to get a better outlet for AD when he's posting up, get the ball, swung as quickly as possible to get more looks, but I thought we did a really good job, more importantly tonight, of not turning the ball over. And that's the thing that we talked about in Game 2 and Game 3, is that we cannot turn the ball over versus this team, and we did a great job of that tonight.
And LeBron and the Lakers with a huge win, as I mentioned, 114-108, the final score. Los Angeles defeats Denver in Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals, and now are 1 win away of going to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2010. How fantastic would that be? The Lakers began the previous decade going to the finals. They can begin this decade going to the finals if they win on Sunday night, which is, Saturday night. Tomorrow night will be Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. LA, Denver, Game 5. Denver looking to overcome yet another 3-1 deficit in these NBA playoffs. Or can the Lakers wrap things up tomorrow night and head to the NBA Finals for the first time, as I mentioned, since 2010. Let's go to the Eastern Conference Finals, where after being in a 2-0 hole, the Boston Celtics had Gordon Hayward back and really needed to win Game 3. They were able to do so. A 117-106 win for the Boston Celtics against Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat in Game 3. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were just magnificent, combining for 51 points. Brown playing 43 minutes, Tatum playing 41 minutes. Brown also getting 7 rebounds and 5 assists. Jason Tatum with 14 rebounds. He finished with a double-double with 25 points and 14 rebounds. Kemba Walker and Marcus Smart combined for 41 points. Kemba has got out of his funk a little bit. He had 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists in Game 3. Marcus Smart really has been the MVP of the Celtics throughout this postseason run. 20 points in 36 minutes for Marcus Smart to go along with 6 assists and 4 rebounds. The Celtics needed this crucial game, and they were able to cut the deficit to 1 game. However, Game 4 could be summed up in 2 words between the Celtics and the Heat of the Eastern Conference Finals. 2 words. Tyler Hero. That's right, Tyler Hero was phenomenal in Game number 4 for the Miami Heat, finishing with 37 points. The rookie finishing with 37 points in 36 minutes to go along with 6 rebounds and 3 assists. What I love about Tyler Hero is he's able to, not only is he a 3-point marksman, but he also has been fantastic in creating plays for his Heat teammates and rebounding the basketball. This is a guy who has long arms, who's lanky, and can get you some boards under that basket. It's what I love to see from Tyler Hero. The Heat would win Game 4, 112-109, and have now taken a commanding 3-1 lead in this best-of-7 Eastern Conference Finals. In Game 4, although they were out-rebounded, Miami committed 11 less turnovers than the Celtics. Celtics with 19 turnovers in Game 4 compared to only 8 for the Miami Heat. And here was Jimmy Butler after a critical Game 4 win and a 3-1 series lead. Here's what he had to say on Tyler Hero, to be more specific.
Not too many people get an opportunity to make it this far in the playoffs and to be in a game like this. But for him, it's another day at the office. I think it makes all of us smile. We're also happy for him because he knows what he's capable of, and he just plays with so much confidence. And he's been doing it all year long. So to him, there's no pressure or anything. He's just going to keep playing basketball the right way.
And if the Heat continue playing basketball the right way, they will win this series easily. However, not unless Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have anything to say about it. Here's what Jaylen Brown had to say in his post-game interview after Game 4, talking about how the Celtics, although down 3-1, will be ready to step up for this challenge.
The good thing is we have another chance, another opportunity to keep playing. I believe I fight into the end. That's a lot of our guys' minds are wired. So we just got to come out, take it one game at a time. I'll get ready for Game 5. Be ready to fight.
And the Celtics certainly will be ready to fight. Ladies and gentlemen, Game 5 actually is today, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Can the Heat go to the NBA Finals for the first time without Dwayne Wade at their disposal? Dwayne Wade taking the Heat to the Finals in 2016, 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2014. Those NBA Finals appearances in the previous decade were all with LeBron James. This will be the first time the Heat will be playing in the NBA Finals, if they were to win it, since 2014, when they lost to the San Antonio Spurs in 5 games. We'll see what happens. Can the Celtics keep their season alive, or will the Heat march on to the finals? We'll see. Game 5 at 8:30 on ESPN tonight. And we'll go to the WNBA bubble in Bradenton, Florida, where the semifinal rounds are underway as well. And the Connecticut Sun, with a 2-1 lead on the Las Vegas Aces, after they won Game 3, 77-68 yesterday. The Sun outscored Las Vegas 24-12 in the fourth quarter, a very dominant fourth quarter for the Connecticut Sun. As I mentioned, they take a 2-1 lead over the Las Vegas Aces in that semifinal round. Our other semifinal round are the Minnesota Lynx going up against the Seattle Storm. Seattle has taken a commanding 2-0 lead after a 79-89 victory yesterday in the Bradenton bubble. Seattle outscores Minnesota 21-17 in the fourth quarter. For the Storm, Natasha Howard with 11 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. Breanna Stewart, 17 points in 35 minutes. And Joelle Lloyd, a guard, 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists, all in 32 minutes. Sue Bird, 7 points in 24 minutes to go along with 5 assists and 2 rebounds. In the upcoming schedule in the WNBA bubble, the playoffs will resume on Sunday, the 27th at 1 p.m., with the Aces taking on the Sun in Game 4. Game 3 will be between the Seattle Storm and Minnesota Lynx will be on Sunday as well. Seattle looking to take a 3-0 lead in that best-of-7 series. Game 3 between the Storm and the Lynx on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, right after the Aces take on the Sun in Game 4. The Cleveland Indians have almost completed their 2020 shortened MLB season. They're taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates right now at Progressive Field and have a 1-0 lead. It's the top of the third. The Indians are at 33-24 and have had some great success against the Chicago White Sox at Progressive Field. The Indians had 4 matchups against Chicago at Progressive Field and won all 4 of them. Their most recent one being a 5-4 win against the Chicago White Sox. The game was tied after the third inning at 1 run apiece. However, the Indians outscored Chicago in a very, very high-scoring 7th inning. 4-3 run score in favor of the Cleveland Indians, and they were able to overcome Chicago in this one. Final score 5-4. That was yesterday. Indians defeat the White Sox. As I mentioned, the Indians close out their regular season against the Pittsburgh Pirates with a 3-game homestand at Progressive Field. Pirates and Indians tonight. Indians lead that game right now. It's the middle of the third. Indians are up 1-0. Tomorrow, the Pirates will take on the Indians at 7:10 p.m. and once again on Sunday for the matinee at 3:10 p.m. from Progressive Field. In terms of the standings, the Indians are in third place in the American League Central Division at 33-24. They're 16-11 at home and 17-13 on the road. They're also 7-3 in their last 10. They are 2 games behind first place. Most likely will not be able to get there, though, with the Minnesota Twins at a 35-22 record. They're 23-5 at home and have been dominant there at Target Field in Minneapolis. However, they are 12-17 on the road, have been rather mediocre on the road. We'll see what happens with the Indians in these next coming days. However, they do conclude their schedule at home where they have been above 500, so that is good news for Cleveland baseball fans. The MLB postseason, the wild card round to be more specific, will begin this upcoming Tuesday, the 29th. We don't have any specific time slots or any matches already decided yet. The wild card round, we'll have more news on that next week with games already having taken place, and we'll discuss those. We'll also discuss the playoffs, which will begin on Monday, October 5th, made for October, right? Division Series, Game 1s begin on the 5th with 2 Game 1s. We'll see if the Indians will be participating in the postseason party. The Browns will be participating in a football game this upcoming Sunday against Washington at home. There's the Browns' second home game of the season. In terms of their team transactions, real quick here, Browns with some late moves in the season right now. They signed Jalen Jelks to the practice squad. They also signed Matt McCrane to the practice squad and removed Tanzel Smart from the defensive squad. Smart, a defensive tackle, was released only 3 days ago. For the Cleveland Browns, as I mentioned, 2 wins. We discussed those last week. 1 win against the Cincinnati Bengals. We discussed their 2 games last week. After suffering a 32-point loss at the hands of the Baltimore Ravens, the Browns bounced back in their second game of the season with a 35-30 win against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Browns now in Week 3 will be taking on Washington, their second home game of the season. That game will be at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time from First Energy Stadium. After that game against Washington, the Browns will be in Dallas for a matchup against the Cowboys before returning home for an early evening game against the Indianapolis Colts. In terms of the NFL standings, the Browns sit at third place in the AFC North Division. Baltimore and Pittsburgh have won their first 2 games of the season and have looked very, very sharp. The Browns at 1-1, Bengals at 0-2 so far on this young season. The Kansas City Chiefs and Las Vegas Raiders lead the AFC West. The Buffalo Bills have had a strong start to their season at 2-0, followed by the Patriots in the AFC East in second place. In the AFC South, the Tennessee Titans and Indianapolis Colts lead the standings. Tennessee with a 2-0 2 wins in their first 2 games so far. Indianapolis with 1 win and 1 loss. So we'll see what they'll be able to do as the season progresses. In the NFC, Washington is actually first place in the NFC East with 1 win, 1 loss. We'll see how that record will change based on their matchup with the Cleveland Indians this upcoming Sunday. The Cowboys are 1-1 as well after a miraculous comeback against the Atlanta Falcons. In the NFC West, the Cardinals and Rams and Seahawks, actually, all of them in their first 2 games, getting 2 wins on the slate. In the NFC North, Green Bay and Chicago winning their first 2 games of the season. And in the NFC South, the Saints and Buccaneers at 1 win and 1 loss. They're the top 2 teams of the NFC South. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our episode of the Cleveland Sports Show. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, I mentioned this was going to be a little bit of a shorter show today. Not as many playoffs series to talk about. And we will have more to discuss next week as the MLB wildcard round will be taking place. And we'll have some playoff matches, hopefully, to discuss. Hopefully, we also have the Indians in the postseason this year. It was a major shame that they were not there last year after a strong season that they had. And as I mentioned, the NBA Finals will also be starting very, very soon, especially with the LA and Miami possibly meeting in the finals. I mean, they both have 3-1 leads. I would assume they would not blow those leads. However, anything can happen in the NBA bubble. We shall see. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've missed past episodes of the Cleveland Sports Show, you can go to NordoniaHills.News and listen to those ones. They're right on the NordoniaHills.News website. Just go to the Contributors tab. Go find my name. I'm the second one down. My name is Darius Sethna, spelled DARAYUSSETHNA. All my Cleveland Sports Show episodes. I've written some articles over the summer, some sports bios of some athletes who you may not have known, and I've also conducted some interviews associated with the Cavs. You can check those out. The Cleveland Sports Show is also on Twitter. Just type in my Twitter handle, @NordoniaSports, and as I mentioned, that's essentially another way you can access all my work, the articles, the podcast episodes, and the interviews as well. You can also take the Cleveland Sports Show with you on the go on Spotify, wherever you may be. You could be, in California, Texas, Oregon, Florida. You can be in the NBA bubble and listen to the Cleveland Sports Show if you want. Just go to Spotify, type in my name, spelled DARAYUSSETHNA, and you will find all of my podcast episodes on there for you to listen to. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this week. Listening to me on the Cleveland Sports Show. Have a wonderful week. We will see you next time as we'll talk MLB playoffs and a possible NBA Finals matchup, as well as more updates with our Cleveland Browns. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and take care.